morning, and welcome to another very, very special edition of Truth to Power. I'm your host, Darwin Griffin. And before I introduce my very special guest on the show today, just wanted to make a few announcements. First of all, I just wanted to tell you that a good friend of mine, she has a church on Oakman Boulevard, 1335 Oakman Boulevard. And the church is called Unity Mission Church, and that is Apostle Dr. Savina Taylor. And this coming Sunday, the 29th of the month, she's having the legendary Bunny DeBarge from the DeBarges. I know everybody, when you think of DeBarge, you think about El DeBarge, but we're talking about Bunny DeBarge. She's a renowned singer. She's a songwriter, and she's also a survivor. But she's going to be giving an epic spiritual encounter to the members of the church on Sunday. And the service starts at 12 o'clock. So again, it's located at 1335 Oakman Boulevard. And the name of the church is called Unity Mission Church. And it's right almost across the street, diagonally from Focus Hope on Oakman Boulevard, right? Just a little bit the other side of Linwood. So you definitely don't want to miss getting an opportunity. She just wrote a book. She's going to be doing a book signing. Dr. Taylor will tell you that you can't beat the food that they have after the service. So you'll come and you'll get fed with the word, and you'll also be fed nutrition as well. So you'll get a spiritual and you'll get a nutritional food for your attending the service on Sunday. And also, as many people know, and I know my guests know, I know especially the young man that I have on here, this almost made me go back home to change and put a bow tie and a suit on and everything. But there's going to be a epic dinner this coming Sunday, and that is going to be the largest sit-down dinner could be the world, but I know it's here in the United States, and that's the Fight for Freedom dinner that is held every year. In the past, it's been when they used to have it called Cobo Hall, Cobo Convention Center, but now it's called Huntington Convention Center. And that is going to be held this Sunday. And that's also going to be at 5 o'clock is what time the dinner starts. They've got a variety of people that are going to be receiving awards. And the keynote speaker for the dinner is going to be Maryland's governor, my fraternity brother, Alpha Phi Alpha in the house. And that is the governor, frat brother, Wes Moore. And he'll be the keynote speaker. But also I've got another frat brother that will be getting one of the awards, and that is the columnist and journalist Rowan Martin is going to also be receiving an award as well. And another good friend of mine that's going to be receiving an award is Miss Alice Tompkins. And a lot of people know her with all of the community involvement that she does, as well as Black Family Development that she used to be the chair of the board with. But we've got a lot of things that we're going to be doing this weekend. So whatever you do, stay safe and make sure that you take somebody else and check on your seniors, check on your loved ones to make sure that they're doing well, especially trying to deal with beating this heat that we've got. But now let's get started. We have a couple of entrepreneurs here in the house with us today on Truth to Power. And I'm going to go a little bit against the grain. Ms. Hilda Griffin, my mother, I don't want you to go and take offense. God, please don't say that my son's not being a gentleman by introducing the man first on the set. But today we are joined by none other. And I know when people hear his name, when they see his face, the first thing that they'll do is like, I know him. And the few people that probably will be able to go and say that they don't know him, and that's only a couple of people probably that probably would not know who he is. But the millions and millions of people that do know him will probably say, I know him, and they'll probably have a lot of different ways because he's connected so many, and he's probably one of the networking gurus of Wayne County, and that is none other than Mr. Gerald Davis.
Thank you, Darwin.
And most people know Gerald Davis. When you say Gerald Davis, you may know a couple of things that he's known through, but I met him through the Thursday Luncheon Group. But I'll let Gerald tell you some of the other things that Gerald has done in the past, and then I'll let Gerald introduce our other special guest, because that's how I got a chance to meet her, was through the Thursday Luncheon Group, which has connected so many entrepreneurs throughout the state, really, not just here in Detroit or in Highland Park, but throughout the entire state.
Right.
Gerald.
Thanks so much, Darwin, for, first of all, calling me a young man. I really, really appreciate that. And also, thank you for inviting us here. As you mentioned, I am the president of the Thursday Business Luncheon Group. This is my second tour as president. I was also president back in the 90s, and I came back because this has been so near and dear to my heart. Those of you who are familiar with the Thursday Business Luncheon Group, we've been around since 1959.
Wow.
And our focus has been on business networking. That is what we do, and we do it well, and we do it often. So we're so glad to be here in this historic place here, WHPS, and with you, Darwin, and thank you again for the invitation.
I appreciate you taking my invitation and coming and being my special guest.
Absolutely.
On the show.
And I'm so glad also that you have invited some of the members of the Thursday Business Luncheon Group.
Absolutely.
Today we are joined by Dr. Valanda Anderson. Dr. Anderson, thanks for showing up. And she has a story to tell. It goes back a number of years, and most recently, I think the last 10 years or so, she has created her business and has really developed her business. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today, just so that our viewing audience can find out more about what she's doing and the many great things that she's doing. So, Dr. V, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me. I always love to be in a space when I can share what I'm doing and learn from others. The Thursday Luncheon Group has just been an amazing space to be in. And I was introduced to the Thursday Luncheon Group by another entrepreneur, Thomas Hardiman, some years ago. And coming to our monthly meetings is just uplifting, motivating, and we always walk away with some education, to move our business forward. If you get stuck, there's somebody in the room that can help you figure out what you need to do.
And you really made a great lead-in for our catchphrase, which is inspiration, information, and motivation. That's what we do at our monthly meetings. And for those of you who haven't been in a while, Thursday Luncheon Group meets the first Thursday of every month. And we provide those sorts of inspiring things, motivational things, and informational things. And a little bit later in the show, I'll give you some more detail about what we do with those three aspects of it. But I'm so glad that you have found it to be a good place and an informative place for you and your business. So tell us a little bit about your business.
So Sweet Potato Delights actually came out of my doctoral process. I've been in the business of health and wellness, fitness, and good food for some time. At one point, I was really on the physical activity side, but then I started coaching, doing personal training, and you want to give the client the whole picture because it's not just the physical activity, it's the food as well. And so I went back to get my doctorate, and I was visioning myself to be a professor and a cookbook writer. However, God has assignments for you, right? And when I would do book signings, I sampled one of the recipes in the book, which was our sweet potato cheesecake, which is now our number one item. And people would say, of course, the professor and me would be like, it's on page 60 of the book, and and they're like, we're going to support you, but can you just make it? I just need to buy it. And so I resisted for a couple of years and eventually stopped resisting, because I realized that that's another way to teach people about good food, is to make it for them and make it available for them to get.
And so that's how your company came about. But before we get to your company, let's talk a little bit about, as you said, your first phase. You have a degree, a doctoral degree in nutrition and health promotion.
Yes.
Okay, and give us a little background on what aspects that brings to your business.
So there's a couple of things. With the nutrition, is just that. It's totally about food and empowering people to be able to choose to prepare for themselves, or be able to identify foods that are going to prevent the leading diseases that impact our community. And most of them are food related. There's a food connection to the chronic diseases. So that's the food part. And then the health promotion, a number of ways. I've done corporate wellness, where we actually would go to the work site and conduct exercise classes, do cooking demonstrations, that type of thing.
And so when you talk about the nutrition, that's fundamentally eating right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And there are some things that we can do in our diet that will help us to live longer, to feel better while we're living longer. Is that a fair statement?
It is a fair statement. And the top things that I tell people to do right off the bat is water. Your body is mostly water. Your brain is mostly water. Every system in your body uses water. So getting the water in, and an easy way to know, we've been told 8 glasses of water, but that's not the case for everybody. Some people need more, and it really depends on your weight. So the simple formula, take your weight divided by 2, and that is how many ounces of water that you should be drinking every day. Now, we've had really scorching temperatures, so that means that you need to add in some additional water if you're in a warmer climate, or you're exercising, or even if you're stressing. Maybe you've been at work and you've got projects that are kind of wearing you out. That's a reason to have more water as well.
And can I ask one question? I just want speaking of water, is there a specific type of water that people should intake more? Like, you've got the distilled, the spring water, you can get the tap water. You got all these different types of water, all these different brand names. But not to plug a brand name, but is there a specific type of water that you would recommend, as a nutritionist?
So I do recommend that people include alkaline water in their intake of water. And that's because we're born alkaline. We become acidic, some with our foods, like tomatoes are acidic, in our environment, stress and things like that. So the job of water is to neutralize the acid in our body. And so you want to, I recommend alkaline water. It doesn't have to be 100%, but some percentage of the water that you take in, I recommend alkaline water.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
And that is increasingly important for those of us who are coffee drinkers. And the acid that we get from the coffee. Yeah. So would it also be a fair statement to say, if you're a coffee drinker, that you ought to balance that with more water? Would that be
absolutely? Make your coffee with alkaline water. Make your coffee with alkaline water. Cook with alkaline water. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the educational aspect, and that you as a professor you pushed out to folks. Now you also have an interesting background before you got heavy into the education. Tell us a little bit about your military background.
Okay, so I ran track in school, so I was pretty physically active. I like outdoors. I like, and I knew that as part of my nursing school experience, that education, that not only the food, the physical activity is important too, particularly as we think about aging, right? And that phrase, you move it or lose it, it is so key. But physical activity is that. Nursing school, I realized that even though I wanted to be a pediatric nurse, that I was like too emotional to be a pediatric nurse. And so I said, oh my gosh, I don't know what I want to do. Oh, I think I'll go in the military, because I couldn't afford to travel around the world. So I said I'd go in the military and use that as a vehicle to figure out what I wanted to do, since I decided I would not be a nurse. I landed as a military police.
Wow.
And it turned out to be a absolutely wonderful experience. I was stationed in California, my first duty station after training. And California, has a history of, beautiful body, the vegetarian, the plant-based eating.
I can never be out there, but go ahead.
And so that's when I really got lean more into the issue, or the around food, around plants, around the importance of food. And I got the opportunity to teach exercise classes. I was stationed at a location where I was like one of two female military police, and they needed somebody to teach the military wives exercise class, and they didn't want it to be a guy.
Okay.
So that's how I started doing exercise classes, and I found out I just absolutely loved doing that. I said, oh my gosh, I can get paid to stay in shape. Oh, I can do this.
Right, because you've been doing it for so long without being paid, right?
Exactly. So yeah.
So having been in the military, I'm assuming that some of the skill sets that you learned in the military you were able to transfer once you got out, particularly into your business.
Yes.
If that's the case, what were those skill sets?
So there's a couple of things. Order and discipline are the two things that always come to mind that I took with me and has been so beneficial in just the way that I live, the things that I do. In the business, it helped. Leadership, having the opportunity to be responsible for and manage other individuals. So that I didn't realize how valuable that was until I started running the business and having to manage employees.
On a kind of a sidetrack, I've long felt, and you tell me what you think about this, that going into the military is not really a bad deal, particularly in peacetime. Okay, would you say that your experience would also verify that?
Oh, absolutely. There has been. I'm thankful all the time for having for being a veteran. There are a lot of resources, and then the tribe. That's my tribe. So connecting with other veterans, different veteran groups, it's just really been wonderful.
That's good. Good to hear.
Now you mentioned that you mentioned about it was too emotional to continue your nursing. What did you mean when you said that?
So in nursing school, you do your coursework in every area of nursing: surgical, maternity. You have all those different courses, and pediatrics. Well, I thought that I wanted to do pediatrics, so that coursework was saved as my last coursework. We had to do cases in every age group: newborn, toddler, and teen. So my first case was a young lady had scoliosis. That's nothing anybody perpetrated against her. Right. Okay. Yeah. The next case was when I started to be challenged. I had a toddler, and you're doing your work in a public hospital, so you encounter a lot of different scenarios. And this little 6-year-old, someone had placed the little boy's hand on top of the stove for discipline. And I just, was having a time managing, having to be face to face with who we thought was behind that scenario. And you have to be able to, you can't, beat them up or anything, right?
Or maybe you can, military police.
Right. So I started really having a emotional challenge of like, if you're going to be doing this work, you can't be getting all bummed out. You can't, right? Well, the next case was the newborn, and that baby, fit in your hands, and was born of parents that had substance abuse issues. And so the mother would come every day and be in the window watching the baby, but you knew that she was under the influence. And I said, oh my gosh, I cannot do this every day. I can't come and, maintain, be diplomatic, smile, or be cordial to those that you're thinking are, abusing the young people. My supervisor was like, oh, you'll get used to it. And I thought to myself, no, I don't want to get used to it. I want to always be appalled by this kind of behavior. And so this was April. I was supposed to graduate in June and take my state board exams, but I was like, nope, I'm not going to do, and I didn't want to do any other type of nursing. I wanted to work with children. So I said, okay, what are you going to do? I thought I was going to be a model and be a nurse. And I went to school for both of them, but I didn't do either one of them. And nursing? Yes, okay. Yes. And I didn't do either one of them. So I said, maybe the military. That's a good way to travel on somebody else's dime. I'll do that. And so I went and took the exam for the Air Force initially. I took it for the Air Force, but I landed with the Army.
I was going to ask you, what was the interest with the Air Force as opposed to the Army? Because we got a couple minutes before we take our break. But
I knew.
Did you want to fly the planes?
No. They had really, really wonderful duty stations. What I knew, they had really exciting duty stations, and I knew that if I took the way the scoring went, if I took the exam and passed the exam for the Air Force, that I could. My scores would be good enough to get in any branch of the service. So that's why I initially took the exam for the Air Force.
Wow. Well, and that's the thing, because we've got a minute left. But the thing that I'm just curious about is look at you then and look at you now. And I mean, such a transition. And when we come back from the break, I know we'll get more into, depth about that part, and to see how the transition went from being first studying to be a model, then to be a nurse, then to military police, and then now with your business. And I know, Gerald, we were talking before we, started the show about the difference between vegan, vegetarian, and, wanting to kind of get more information, about that part. But I think the thing is that you have been so involved with health consciousness, and to make sure, just like everybody talks about, their body is their temple. And you don't want to abuse it, so you don't want to put things in it that could be detrimental to the body. But before we take this break, what made you go into? Tell the difference. Now, that's something that I'm kind of naive about sometimes. What's the difference between a sweet potato and a yam?
Okay, I love that, because a sweet potato is not a yam. Okay. We don't grow yams in the U.S. Okay, they're, Africa, Jamaica, places like that. You will not make anything sweet out of a yam, a real yam. Okay? You can't find them. There's an international store in Ferndale on 9 Mile that has the yams imported. But yeah, you won't make anything sweet. It's the meat is kind of reminds you of Idaho potato. The coloring, but sweet potatoes, they're wonderful. They're orange, they're purple, they're yellow, and they're sweet.
We have time for a quick. Is there a significant difference in the taste between a sweet potato and a yam?
Absolutely, absolutely. So the yam typically is used in stews or pounded down to make gravies or things like that. It is. When I went to Ghana and came back, I tried, making some things with the yam, and was not successful getting the taste where I thought other people would enjoy it.
Is that why we have to candy the yams? Is that what it is, to make it palatable?
But we candy what is called yams, but they're sweet potato. Oh. And we don't need to candy the sweet potatoes. The sweet potatoes are sweet. Mm-hmm. The purple sweet potatoes are even sweeter.
See, we're getting this little lesson in something.
That's right.
Because I didn't know the difference between, but we got to take a quick break. So we'll be right back. Gerald Davis, Valanda Anderson. We will be right back. I'm your host, Darwin Griffin. We'll be right back with Truth to Power.
Feel good about your future with tuition-free programs at Wayne County Community College District. Whether you want to be in healthcare, computer science, the culinary arts, digital media, or robotics and automation for the next generation of vehicles, WCCCD has you covered. A full range of programs to achieve your goals, fit your schedule, and give you all the support you need to be successful. All of it tuition-free. Now there's something to feel good about. Register today at wcccd.edu.
Every Monday through Friday from 12 noon to 3 p.m., it's the Tavis Smiley Show, distributed by R.J. Watkins Studios.
Muscles, joints, or feet tired, achy, or distressed? Tried everything? Ringmaster Rubbing Oil is a vintage topical pain reliever, trusted for over 70 years, with a rich formula for the treatment of stubborn aches and pains. Packaged in a glass bottle for purity, our liquid can also be used in warm water for foot soaks and compresses. A little goes a long way. Try our time-tested formula, available in several sizes.
Make a donation to WHBR-TV and receive 2 2-ounce bottles of Ringmaster Rubbing Oil for $25. Call 313-868-6612.
Clean up on aisle 5. Sounds like my life right now. Just one big mess.
What's going on?
It's my property taxes.
What?
I am behind and I am so worried that I'm going to lose my house. I can pay some of it, but I can't pay it all at once.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm Eric Sabri, the Wayne County Treasurer. The last thing I want is for anyone to lose their property to tax foreclosure. We have assistance programs to help.
For more information, go to treasurer.waynecounty.com.
We're here to help.
All media platforms are engaged. Copy. Get ready to launch your show or product.
Periscope ready. We're 5x5 ready to launch. Copy that.
Trend worldwide across all major platforms.
Ignition. 3, 2, 1.
The world is waiting. Watkins Broadcasting. More than just TV.
Have you ever wanted your own TV show? Have you dreamed of showcasing your talent for the world to see? Well, now you can. Have your own TV show. You can have your own 30-minute show. Not only will you be seen in the Detroit area, but you can be viewed worldwide. For more information, call 313-868-6612. Visit our studios and receive a free TV interview to promote your business, church, or organization by appointment only.
And we are back with my special guest. I'm Darwin Griffin. I'm your host. And I think I have Mr. Gerald Davis as my co-host today. And he is doing an admirable job. And we also have Dr. Valanda Anderson, Sweet Potato Delights. And Gerald, I'll let you take it over again.
So, Dr. V, tell us a little bit about Sweet Potato Delights and your business. How long you've been around, and what was your motivation for starting that business?
So I actually came kicking and screaming to food entrepreneurship because as I mentioned, when I got the doctorate, I was visioning myself to be a professor and a cookbook writer. And I did both of those. I became a professor, did that for about 8 or 9 years, and I've written a couple of cookbooks. But when I would do the book signing, people would want to buy what I was sampling, and I wanted them to go to page 60 of the book and see the recipe and try it out for themselves, right? And so, God gives you assignments. And so after 2 years of having people ask me, can I buy? I said, okay, this is how you're supposed to teach people, is to, make it, put it in places where they go shop, or where you would have them go shop if you were coaching them as a nutritionist. And so I started in 2013 as what Michigan calls a cottage law. Mm-hmm. And then after growing to a certain point and wanting to put the products in stores, 2016 is when I got the license with the Michigan Department of Agriculture.
Now, you talk about Sweet Potato Delights being a plant-based dessert option, a healthier plant-based dessert option. And with this, when you talk about plant-based, and I know this not because I'm a plant-based person, but I have a daughter who's a plant-based person, we're talking vegan. Now, for those of us who are not so educated about vegan versus vegetarian, can you give us just a brief description on what the differences would be?
Yeah, so before I do that, plant-based is, I use plant-based in place of saying vegan and vegetarian, because sometimes people, when you say vegan or vegetarian, they get in their head and they have this pre-notion about how the food is going to taste. For me as a nutritionist, and knowing what I know about the science of how food impacts our body, I say plant-based because everybody, whether you're a meat eater or not, needs to put more plants in their diet. So that's why I say plant-based. So it's not just about vegan and vegetarianism. It's about the dietary habits in general, right? Okay. But a vegetarian is a non-meat eater, but they may still eat dairy. Mm-hmm. Okay. A vegan eats nothing that has parents. So they eat no meat, they eat no dairy, right? Okay. Then, of course, you have the pescatarian. They lean into the vegetarian lifestyle, but they eat fish. They eat seafood.
So I see your point, why you just say plant-based, because that can get real confusing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So basically, the plant-based gives you a notion that it's not, we don't have to get real specific about it, it's just healthy for you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The second thing I wanted to talk to you about with Sweet Potato Delights is you do wholesale and retail, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Give us a little insight. Wholesale would be to a business owner who might sell items at their store. Retail would be like I buy your what you're going to talk about in just a second, your products.
Yes.
So where on the wholesale level can people find your products?
So we focus on restaurants, health food stores, grocery stores. So grocery stores like the Detroit People's Food Co-op on Woodward and Euclid. Natural Food Patch is a health food store in Ferndale. More Herb Marketplace is another health food store on 7 Mile near Greenfield. Restaurants. I love the restaurants because if I was coaching people, I have a running list of restaurants where I want them to eat, right? So Trap Vegan on the Avenue of Fashion, the Kitchen by Q on Woodward and the Boulevard. And I definitely want to give a shout out to the Kitchen by Q because we were originally focused on grocery stores before the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And when the pandemic happened, Lady Q and I were in a cohort, and I needed to shift. You needed to pivot, as they say. And she, at the time, was my one restaurant wholesale. And she helped me. She's like, well, I'm not the only restaurant that needs this, right? Mm-hmm. And so I was able to pivot when the pandemic happened and expand. So now we do more restaurants, health food stores.
So if I'm eating at my favorite restaurant and they don't happen to have your product, would it make sense for me to contact them or contact you to see if we can get your product in that particular restaurant?
Absolutely, both them and before, and then contact me and I can follow up.
Okay, outstanding. With respect to how you make your products, your ingredients are purchased from local farms?
As much as possible.
Okay.
Yeah, so like D-Town Farm, we source garlic from D-Town Farm.
And give our viewers who D-Town Farm is.
Oh, yes. D-Town Farm, wonderful farm on Outer Drive near Plymouth. It's 7 acres, maybe a little bit larger than that now. But it's Detroit Black Community Sovereignty Network, one of the partners that was behind the Detroit People's Food Co-op. That is the farm that they run. They have farmers markets. They do classes there. They do tours. Wonderful space to be in, and it's Black owned.
And that's what I really wanted to get at, is that the importance, like we do at the Thursday Lunch Group, networking. It's all networking. D-Town Farms, Sweet Potato Delights, Detroit People's Co-op. That's networking. That's how you find out. When I need to know something about the co-op, I call Dr. V, who's on the board of the co-op. Okay, that is important, and one of the really good benefits of doing some networking. So you purchase as much as you can from local farms. Why is that important?
So we want you want to connect to your food. You want to know who's producing your food. You want your food to travel as little as possible from the time that you move the ingredients from the ground till it makes it to your table. And again, you want to support the movement of the dollars in our community as much as possible.
You hit it right. Again, another great lead in, because that's what we focus on at the Thursday Luncher Group, is making sure that the dollar circulates in our community as many times as possible. You buy from me, I buy from you, Darwin buys from both of us. That's very, very important. And you also talked about the freshness aspect, and I want to share this with you. I actually have 2 garden boxes at home, and when I pull my gardens, my vegetables from the garden, it tastes different. It really does. It tastes, it's a fresher taste. My tomatoes, which I should be careful about because of the acid, and I have to drink more water, but my tomatoes taste different than what you get at the store. And if you think about it, and Dr. V, I want to get your insight on this, it's the ones you buy from California and Mexico are traveling for maybe 2 weeks. So it's going to be a different flavor. Am I right?
Absolutely, absolutely, because they have to pick it probably sooner than it needs to be picked. There is something that needs to be done to it to preserve the freshness as it travels.
Which may not be so healthy?
That's correct. That's correct.
And your business is obviously a woman-owned small business, but also a service disabled veterans business as well.
Yes.
So you have some ingrained advantages with that.
Yes.
Okay. Now, let's talk about the product. And I think, Darwin, you and I are going to fight over this muffin because it's not going to make it away from me. I just want you to know that. This muffin, tell us a little bit about this muffin here as I put it on my side. This is a cranberry date muffin.
Yes.
Okay, tell us a little bit about this one. That's one of my favorites.
My husband likes to call that his one-a-day pill with a coffee. Yes. And he literally has it every morning with coffee. Dates.
Does he follow that coffee up with some water? No, we just joking.
Yeah. Well, if I make the coffee, I make it with alcohol and water.
So he doesn't have to, right?
But he's good with drinking a lot of water. He drinks a lot of water. Dates are a wonderful sweetener. One thing that he points out, and he tells folks if he's at the table selling with me, is that you will use less sugar with this muffin because of the sweetness that the dates add to it. Mm-hmm. But then you've got additional benefits because the dates has minerals in it, right? And combined with the sweet potato, it just has an amazing taste. So it's a really great breakfast muffin, if you will.
And not that mine, the ones that I buy from you, get to stay around very long, but I think they freeze well, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Yes, they do.
So that's important because you can buy them in volume, put them in the freezer, and then just take them out.
Exactly.
Okay. And these cookies?
So the cookies, we have 3 different cookies that we do. One is a trail mix, and it's just like a trail mix. It has, walnuts and cranberries and pumpkin seeds in it. Again, that's like one of your power foods because like lunchtime or you need a little pick you up, right? And it's got the walnuts. That's the brain food. The lemon cookie is just lemon. It has no sweet potato in it. It's probably the only one of the few things that we do that don't have sweet potato in it.
You brought that too?
But, this is a lemon cookie, okay, right?
Well,
It is a lemon lovers
table right here because I love lemon, anything lemon. But
okay, well you're gonna love that lemon zest, fresh lemon juice. It is one of the gluten-free. Not that I was seeking to do a gluten-free line, but just the use of the different flours, using almond flour and oat flour instead of wheat flour, because people do have sensitivities to gluten. And then we have an oatmeal chocolate chip cookie.
You can really smell the lemon in here, too.
Yeah.
I can't smell it because it's not on my side.
Well, that's why I put it over here, because I didn't want to distract you. So
stay focused.
Right.
But what has turned out, it resulted in the cookie box. And I'm always seeking to make impact. What is the impact of the business? Who is it impacting? How can you give back to the community? And so the cookie box has each one of the cookies, and then we partner or identify or somebody recommends a nonprofit. Once a year during the month of December, we do cookie drops to nonprofit organizations that service seniors, veterans, and children.
So if any of our listeners are affiliated with a nonprofit, they might want to contact Dr. V and Sweet Potato Delights, say at the end of November or whenever. Would that be a good time?
Well, actually, probably late summer, because the giving season or the fundraising season, I understand, for nonprofits starts in October. Okay. So we could be added to their fundraising plan.
Mm-hmm. Now, you also do impact events, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And what I'm going more toward is the literacy side.
Yes.
Because I know that's a new operation that you set up. You want to share a little bit about that?
Yes. So I was, I live in Rosedale, and I was power walking, getting ready for the Senior Olympics, and I saw this empty lot, and I was like, oh, that would make a good community garden. And so fast forward, within 60 days, I purchased the lot, and it is now, and created the Foundation for Future Foodies, and have wonderful board members, individuals that saw the vision to focus on literacy and access to fresh produce. So we have a little library that is on the lot. Folks can go by at any time, grab a book. I recently learned that swallowtail butterflies love carrots and parsley and dill and fennel and cilantro. And so I've planted some of those, hoping to pull the butterflies into the space. And then Keep Growing Detroit has kind of been our coach around the produce part of the space.
Okay. And you have activities at your space, correct?
Yes, we this is our second year doing the Learn Shop and Author Read Aloud. June, July, and August. The third Wednesday of July and the third Wednesday of August will be our Learn Shop. Mama Hanifa from the Food Warriors, she's the education director with the Detroit Black Community Sovereignty Network. And she does the Learn Shops, and then we have authors read aloud from their books.
Okay. And that happens what time of the day? You said the third Wednesday.
The third Wednesday, and the whole activity is from 1 to 4:30. So the Learn Shop is, and it's interactive, is from 1 to 3, and then the author activity is from 3:15 to 4:30.
Now, is there a charge for that?
It is absolutely free. We, as most nonprofits do, rely on donations, what have you. We have posted, I believe, the Eventbrite might be out there, because we do want people to RSVP so we can make sure that we have enough water and snacks for folks to partake in.
Okay, in a couple of minutes, I'm going to come back to you. Maybe you can give us the contact information.
Okay.
where we can reach you for the Foundation for Future Foodies, as well as Sweet Potato Delights, because we want our viewing audience to know how to get to you. We don't just want to talk about it. Again, our goal is to circulate that dollar in our community as much as possible, and to get healthy foods that taste good, that we can buy on a regular basis.
Absolutely. The taste good is so important, because at the end of the day, people are hearing me like, okay, I hear you. I want to get healthier, but does it taste good? Because if it doesn't taste good, they're not going to eat it.
And I love what you said about what Jerome is doing with this muffin. And I may actually follow his lead to take this as a daily, one a day. I love what you say about him using this, and then you can have your coffee or your tea or whatever it might be, and you don't have to have as much sugar, or I use honey, but you don't have to have as much sweetener with having one of these muffins. Just the mindset, and that's a huge piece, isn't it?
It is, and you're getting a robust nutritional boost to your body right at the beginning of the day. The sweet potatoes has fiber. It has vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E. And that spells ACE, as in ace up your immune system, right? So you're getting really good nutrients there that you're not going to be hungry, and and it's tasty.
So when you look at those 3 vitamins that you said, A, C, and E, what are those good for as far as in the body? Because I know everybody knows about vitamin C, especially when you get colds or something like that. But what is vitamin E and what is vitamin A? What are they usually more nutritional when it comes to your body?
So when you think of vitamin E, people normally think about the skin, right? But A, C, and E are cancer-fighting nutrients. Okay. And so that's what I really focus on when I talk about ace up your immune system. So in addition to, boosting your immune system, helping your skin, it's a cancer-fighting process, or it supports cancer fighting.
So when you see a lot of women that may have, you're seeing more and more women that are cancer survivors. And so that might be good to utilize to kind of help to prevent cancer.
Prevention is key. So, and that's what we want to do. We want to prevent it from breaking, because it's a little bit harder once it gets broken. You can repair, but it's easier to keep it from breaking. And as we age, it's so much better if we can ward off the things that we've been conditioned to believe that happen because you're getting older.
Yeah, because that was the other thing I was going to ask you. So now, is it also good for like anti-aging?
Absolutely. Also, sweet potatoes is a blood sugar stabilizer. So when I was going through my doctoral process, the Diabetic Association was absolutely wonderful in supporting the study groups once they found out that I was using the sweet potato.
So you say for people that may have blood sugars?
Yeah, so if you're in that diabetic scenario, not type 1, we're talking about type 2, because type 2 is the lifestyle scenario. But yes, it's a blood sugar stabilizer. So whether you do it in a baked good or not, just adding 1 or 2 sweet potatoes to your intake during the course of the week could be very helpful.
Well, we've got about 10 minutes left in the segment, so I just want to ask you too. So before we went to break, I was looking at the beginning when you first started out. Maybe you were studying to be a nurse, and then also to be a model. Now let's take 5 years from now, or let's take 10 years from now. What is in the future for Dr. V?
So what I would like to see happen is that Sweet Potato Delights is handed off, bought out by a young person or a veteran.
A wealthy young person, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to hand it off to the next generation so that I move totally into my philanthropic place and take the Foundation for Future Foodies to another level.
So now you don't have a brick and mortar. So now, what exists as opposed to the brick and mortar that you have for Sweet Potato Delights?
So what I would like to see happen is that we purchase the real estate to have a production facility. That way I can create the jobs and create opportunities for internships. It would be in a building that the production facility is on one side and then the community space is on the other side.
And you want to do a lot more, especially like you were mentioning to Gerald earlier about with the veterans.
Yes.
To kind of assist. And then also to kind of be an incubator for like young business entrepreneurs that might want to get into food and nutrition.
Exactly. They might want to be in the food industry and not sure, what lane they would like to be in. So it would be a place for them to gain some experience, learn some different facets, and ideally we would have the managers of the place be veterans that were repurposing their culinary skill set.
Superb. Gerald, we got a few more minutes left, and I know I got probably about a million more questions.
Okay. What I wanted to ask about was you spoke earlier about your educational cookbooks. Give us a little history on that and what's in those educational cookbooks.
So the first cookbook came out of my doctoral process, Pass the Sweet Potatoes, Please. You can probably still find that on Amazon. And in that, you'll see the research, the history about the sweet potato, and then lots of recipes, not only plant-based recipes, but recipes that include, chicken and turkey. Mm-hmm. The second cookbook is Beyond Candy Yams and Sweet Potato Pie. And I named it that because when you say sweet potatoes, that's what people think of. Mm-hmm. Sweet potato pie and for Thanksgiving, right, and the candy yams. And so that one is a little bit more around the educational because there's a section in there that talks about replacing the different sugars. Like we don't use any white sugar. We don't use any white flour. What do you use? Replacing the protein in your diet. So that particular book has a little bit more information for folks making changes in the way that they do their food. And then there's Amaya's ABCs to Good Nutrition. That is a educational coloring book. Amaya is a real person. That's my niece. I named it. I was with my brother in Texas for a while, and I would make smoothies, and she would come crawling to the kitchen because she heard the blender, and she would sit there, and her expression would be like, "Okay, I'll just wait until you finish, and where's mine?" And so I named it after her. But it has in there every letter of the alphabet, and vegetables and fruits, pictures that you can color. And hopefully at some point I'll republish it with an expanded activity section.
That's a good way to learn. Gerald, I'll let you ask this last question, and I definitely want to make certain that Gerald was asking you to give your contact. We've got about 5 minutes left. So, Gerald, I'll let you ask this next question.
One of our other members, Dr. Jesse Brown, told me some years ago, he said, Gerald, there's no magic in a bottle. He said, basically, what we've got to do in order to get healthy is to get more movement, to drink more water, and to move toward a plant-based diet. Now, with these products, we're moving toward a plant-based diet. And I want to talk about how challenging that can be for some of us. I call myself a 25% vegan, okay? And that's very seriously because about 25% of the time I'm eating right, okay? I'm eating healthy. And I guess I just want to emphasize and get your opinion on this is that we don't have to do it overnight. We can take it step by step to try and improve where we are and to make the quality of our life better while we're still here. Is that a fair statement?
Absolutely.
And I'm going to ask you to get it real quick because I want to get your contact because we got to take a break.
Okay, absolutely. The biggest thing is getting more water. When you think about it, just drink water. First thing in your mouth in the morning, last thing in your mouth at night. If you're eating meat, it's about the quality of the meat and the portion size. And then look at your plate. Does it look like a rainbow? If it doesn't, just add some more color.
So now, look into the camera, and I want you to give all the contact information that if anybody wants to utilize Sweet Potato Delights for a fundraiser, they want to, like Gerald was asking in terms of say, just to purchase and fight over the muffin or the limousine.
That's on your side.
That's on my side. It's going to stay on this side. But give your contact information, please.
Okay, so we are Sweet Potato Delights on all the social media. SweetPotatoDelights.com is the website, and you can order you can order a lot of things on that. You can find the information about catering as well. Mm-hmm. The phone number to connect with us about Sweet Potato Delights as well as the Foundation for Future Foodies is 313-778-0578. And I'll repeat that, 313-778-0578. And if you want to email, it's info, I-N-F-O, at sweetpotatodelights.com or admin, A-D-M-I-N, at foundation, the number 4, foundation4futurefoodies.com.
Well, we definitely have to have her back on again, and we'll see. So, Gerald, you and I can be making comparisons then
right.
Again about you liked, I liked, we loved. So it'll boil down to that.
Next time we'll talk about the cheesecake too.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely. She's got to bring some of the cheesecake next time. But you are watching Truth to Power. I've had the plum-pleasing pleasure, to have Dr. Valanda Anderson and Gerald Davis of the Thursday Luncheon Group. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Feel good about your future with tuition-free programs at Wayne County Community College District. Whether you want to be in healthcare, computer science, the culinary arts, digital media, or robotics and automation for the next generation of vehicles, WCCCD has you covered. A full range of programs to achieve your goals, fit your schedule, and give you all the support you need to be successful. All of it tuition-free. Now there's something to feel good about. Register today at wcccd.edu.
Tune in to the I Love the Hustle show, Saturday afternoons at 12 p.m., followed by Mr. Smooth's Ballroom and Steppers Express Dance Show on WHPR 15.2 Detroit, Apple TV, Roku, and many streaming platforms. See you Saturday.
Have you ever wanted your own TV show? Have you dreamed of showcasing your talent for the world to see? Well, now you can. Have your own TV show. You can have your own 30-minute show. Not only will you be seen in the Detroit area, but you can be viewed worldwide. For more information, call 313-868-6612. Visit our studios and receive a free TV interview to promote your business, church, or organization by appointment only.
It's amazing. The biggest selling gospel album of all times is Aretha Franklin's Amazing Grace. What's also amazing is Reverend Jim Holly Ministries is offering the official Aretha Amazing Grace coloring book for $11.99, or order the mini version book for $6.99 at Amazon.com. Color and discover the Queen of Soul. This book is relaxing and therapeutic for kids from 2 to 102. Bless your family and friends. Order yours today.
You're watching WHPS, Highland Park, Detroit.
All right, and we are back with Truth to Power. I'm your host, Darwin Griffin, and I am joined by my how do I say it? My my interim co-host on the show, Mr. Gerald Davis of the Thursday Luncheon Group, and we are also joined by Miss Andrea Fields. And Gerald, I'll let you introduce her and let her talk about how she met you with the Thursday Luncheon Group and the product that she has.
Thank you so much, Darwin. Andrea Fields is the visionary founder and CEO of Perfect Choice Cleaning Solutions, LLC. And this is a company that was dedicated into transforming laundry care with innovative, eco-friendly products. Andrea, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Glad to have you here. Give us a little bit of background about Perfect Choice Cleaning, when you got started, what was your motivation for getting started? Give us a little background about that.
Okay, so the whole background is that I'm a seamstress and a sewing teacher, and I'm proficient in 13 needle arts, and I had a sewing school. So I was teaching children how to sew in my home more than anywhere else, and I was doing a lot of custom sewing work. Mm-hmm. And then I had a couple of, physical locations, and during the pandemic, I ended up losing my home in order to hold on to my business, because I just kept believing that once it's over, my students are going to come back and everything was going to be fine. It just didn't happen that way. So, I just started praying, asking God to show me how to live above the dictates of the economy. That was my exact prayer. And I'm like, God, I don't want to do this anymore. I got to be able to live no matter what. So I met a lady who introduced me to Global Empowerment Ministries, and that's where I learned how to source products overseas. Okay. Yeah, and so when I started sourcing the products, I knew I needed something that I can sell in my stores. And I had always had a few products in mind that I would eventually develop, but I got an earlier start than I thought I would because I needed one.
Well, what did it say? The mother of all invention is need, right?
Well.
So why laundry?
Because that's one of in fact, the spark that promoted the laundry detergent. Someone asked me how to get a stain out of, I think it was a dress. I really don't remember what it is, but I always say a dress. And when I started rattling off to her about how Fells NAFTA work and how exactly to use it, I just had one of those epiphanies. Why am I always telling people about products when I can be making this product? And that's when I started specifically looking at different types of laundry detergent. And in 2002, it turned out that there were only 3 laundry detergent sheet brands on the market. And so I started looking at the projections of it and saw that by 2030, that they were looking at being a multi-billion-dollar industry. And I said, wow, I am at the beginning of a growth curve. This is huge. So,
okay.
Now, and then after I tested a couple of brands, that's the brand I stuck with.
So sheets versus liquid, what's the
and powder?
And powder.
Yeah, and they have those pellets. Yeah, the pods and the peels, pellets like.
Okay. So why sheets?
So one of the biggest benefits of sheets is that they're easy. I don't have this package isn't open because I wanted to leave it with one of you, but that they're easy. You just take one little sheet. In fact, do you mind if I open it?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's such an easy little thing. This is a 5x4 inch sheet. It's perforated. It dissolves almost instantly. Within 10 seconds, it's dissolved, even in icy cold water. Pods, I don't know how they've improved, but I know in the beginning when pods came out, I used them once in cold water and it did not break down. The whole pod was still in the laundry when I got my clothes out of the washer. And I'm like, okay, this is not for me. But you see how easy that, that was not the example. See how easy it is to tear when you hold it in the right place?
And that's all you need.
You need one whole sheet for a large load, a half a sheet for a 3/4 load or smaller. Yeah. And so I didn't answer your question. I was leading into the answer. What was the question?
The question was why sheets as opposed to those other items.
Right. And so this one is no measuring. It's no mixing. It dissolves easily. Okay. It's safe in even the HE machines. And the low sudsing is the biggest part because you're not going to have any soap residue left on your clothing once it goes through the rinse cycle. So your clothes aren't going to get dull.
And there's something I know you mentioned in your literature about the scent, the smell.
Well, it's a fresh linen fragrance, but it rinses clean. It's here. You want to smell that also? It's a
I
beautiful
use
light.
this.
Oh, that's right. That's right. One of my favorite customers.
Well, I guess
y'all.
this would be my packet right here. Then.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, but it is a fresh linen fragrance, and it doesn't smell perfumey once you rinse it. And it has fabric softeners in it, so you don't need dryer sheets, dryer balls, or those that liquid liquid fabric softener.
Okay.
Put it in the dryer under medium heat, and your clothes will come out soft and supple, as if additional fabric softener had been added.
Well, I know, Gerald, you use these already, but I just want to ask you the question. So is this in addition to putting like bleach in the washing machine? Or
No,
do
you don't need bleach with this either.
Is that right?
It has 2 bleaching agents in it, one of them being bicarbonate. It naturally bleaches your clothes. Most people don't know that.
Wow.
So bicarbonate is the same thing as baking soda, y'all. And that's one of the things that was used prior to the invention of laundry detergent, salt and bicarbonate. Salt is one of the things that help preserve the colors of your clothes over time. So as you use these laundry detergent sheets, you'll find out that your uniforms, those black, what do they call those things that cooks use? What do they call them?
Smocks, maybe?
Those, maybe something
Like
like
the
that.
apron
Those,
that looks-
yeah,
okay.
those, the darker color things you use, you'll find out they're just as vibrant a year from now, 2 years from now, because they have the salt as a preservative for those colors.
Okay.
And the soap isn't lingering dull in your clothes. So.
Wow, because I was just curious, because I know, so basically all you really have to do, so lead us into what a person would do. They would basically just put the clothes in the laundry, in the wash machine, set whatever the length of time that they wanted to and the type of clothes that they were going to wash, and then put one of these in, and then once they do that, they're good to go.
You're good to go. And so one of the questions I'm asked quite often is that we have a dispenser and I want to use a dispenser. So just take the sheet and dissolve it in a cup of water and then pour it in the dispenser just like it were a liquid.
You just took the words out of my mouth. I was going to ask that question because, on my laundry, my washing machine has got that for the bleach and for the, for the fabric softener and, those kind of things.
Right.
So
and
basically.
You don't have to have a lot of water to dissolve that sheet. It doesn't have to be. Maybe a quarter of a cup of water will dissolve the entire sheet.
And I'll say this, using these, what I do is I just take the sheet and drop it in with the clothes.
Right.
It's really what I've done, and it has worked very, very well. So with respect to that, I guess my next question to you is this, and I think I asked you this earlier. When did you get started? What did you say, 2002?
I started the research in 2022, in the fall of 2022.
Okay.
And I launched in August of 2023.
Oh, wow. Okay. So very new then.
Yes.
Okay. You also have been active in the Thursday Business Luncheon Group.
Absolutely.
Who introduced you to the Thursday Luncheon Group?
Don Henderson.
Did he? Okay.
Yes, he did it. And I met him, I think, through his artistry at a event I went to. And he was telling me about it. And I thought, well, I can go. And from the very first time I went, I was really hooked from the caliber of people there, their knowledge base, that it was such a diverse array of business professionals there. I was just hooked. But that knowledge, there is nothing in the world that can beat a person who's willing to help others with what they know. And that's how we all grow.
So if you, Andrea, had to give the one word that you would use to describe this man, what would you use to describe this man here?
The first word that came to mind is innovator, but I think calm would be a better word, because he's very calm, even when
unless I'm watching the game,
even when he's getting ragged on by other members.
Now you're telling our business, right? So yeah, with a group you have group dynamics. We have a lot of fun.
Fun group.
We have a lot of fun.
So why do you say you have a lot of fun? What is it that makes you have so much fun, Gerald, in the Thursday Luncheon Group?
I will say it this way. We have a diverse group of people, and you have a lot of different ideas and a lot of different thoughts. And folks don't realize that, when you're leading a group like that, you really do need to listen to what folks are saying, but you might not be able to implement everything that everybody wants.
Right.
So you have to be very, very, very diplomatic about it. Let me tell you, Secretary of State don't have nothing on me. When you talk, you have to be very diplomatic about, and I see you got 2 cookies over there, but we'll talk about
I
that.
sure do.
Okay.
See, I can't count, so I just took all of the white ones over here and put them over here, and I let you take the brown one and put it over there. So
yeah, you
it doesn't mean we believe in segregation at all.
Absolutely, we're equal opportunity. So.
Right. So yeah, we have a diverse group of people, but that's kind of what makes the Thursday Luncheon Group unique in what it does. And again, networking, information, inspiration, and motivation. That's really what it is. And as Andrea talked about, it's important that you have that knowledge base, because I have a theory with the Thursday Lunch Group that I've been putting out for 40 years, and that is this: you can get everything that you want out of life simply by helping enough other people get what they want out of life. That is so fundamental and so basic to what we do. Yeah. My role there is to help other people. And by helping other people, I will get help. Their role is to help other people. You don't necessarily need to come to the Thursday Lunch Group to find out where you can find a location for your laundry sheets. Come there to help somebody. And trust me, somebody's going to help you, or somebody's are going to help you. So that's so fundamental to what we do with the Thursday Luncheon Group, and I'm so glad that Andrea has become a part of that and become ingrained in it right away. And we're seeing that the first time she came, I bought these laundry sheets, and I've been a regular customer. And not just me, other folks have bought them as well. And where the value comes in, it's not just me buying these laundry sheets, but telling other people, giving other opportunities. If I have a store owner who doesn't have these laundry sheets, you need to call Andrea, okay, and see if you can get these laundry sheets. It will help you enhance your business, okay? So that's what we try to do.
And you do. You're very successful.
Yeah.
And see, one thing, too, because I don't know, Gerald, if you're going to be able to stay with us to the last, during the last segment, but I want to ask you, Gerald, so when somebody comes to the Thursday Luncheon Group, what occurs when they walk in the door of the Thursday Luncheon Group? What occurs then?
First thing we want to do is show them a lot of love. Okay, because we're business, but we like to have fun too. If you've ever been to one of our parties, we have a really great time.
Because Andrea hasn't stopped smiling, so you must have a lot of fun. But go ahead.
We have a lot of fun. We really, really do. And part of that is because we're helping people make money, number one. But also, we truly enjoy being around each other. And thirdly, is always a good cohesiveness is. We have good food,
we have great food.
And we have a good time with that. And then when we have the events, we have really good adult beverages that people can take advantage of. So, yeah, it's like we enjoy being around each other.
It's a family.
It's a family. A large family, but it's a very important family, and it's a very focused family, because even while we're having fun, we're talking about and thinking about and strategizing how we can help people in that group. Okay.
Now, you average about how many people to come to you? And I'll let you ask a question. You average about how many people?
On the first Thursday, we average about 30 to 35 people.
Mm-hmm.
I have a membership list of about 160.
Wow.
And we're, believe it or not, well, let me put it to you like this. Since the recession, that ran a lot of people out of business. 2008, 2009, we lost a number of businesses, and folks got a job, But even many of those who had to get a job still maintain their business, just not doing it full time. So we still connect with them and try to help them that way. But we on the first Thursday of every month, we meet from noon till 1:30 p.m. And during the winter months, January, February, March, we meet virtually as opposed to meeting in person. So that's the essence of what we do. And then we have events. Our most recent event, we had NFL draft party, and we had a flat out ball. I'm telling you, a flat out ball. And
that's
people,
where I entered.
Yeah,
that's where I entered.
People made money too, So that's a big part of what the Thursday Lunch Group is about. And Andrea is a testament to what we are about. Somebody who's came in and jumped right in, okay, and is benefiting folks by her knowledge, because in addition to her laundry business, Andrea is a veteran. Okay, yeah. Tell us a little bit about your veteran path.
So it's not unlike Dr. B's. I started with the Air National Guard, and flunked out of AIT. I went to AIT to be an emergency medical technician. And when they told us to start teaching us how to do the shots, I couldn't do it. I don't want to see anybody's blood, no piss, none of that, no spit. And I don't know why I thought I was going to be a good EMT, but I could not get past trying to draw blood. So I flunked out, and they sent me back. And when they sent me back to, what's the name of that base in Mount Clemens? Selfridge. They sent me back to Selfridge to do some OJT. And then I got called into office of the Air Force advisor. I had no idea they were Air Force advisors, and he said they were looking over my ASVAB scores and that I scored high enough to be an officer, but I would not be an officer in the Air Force unless I went, got a degree, but that I could be an officer in the Army. So they switched me over to the Army, and I took a test, and I got into Officer Candidate School right there in Battle Creek, Class 2-7 in Michigan Military Academy.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I got to ask you the same question that we asked Dr. V. What did you learn from the military that's helping you in your business?
Discipline would be the very first thing. If it has to be done, because we didn't have any options. When it's something that needs to be done, there are people relying on us to do what we said we're going to do and what is our responsibility to do. And if we don't do it, people are hanging. People might even die from us not doing what is our responsibility.
Now, what was your MOS in the service?
So I discharged as an E6 in procurement, and I don't remember what it was called because it wasn't MOS when you get to be an officer. It wasn't MOS.
Oh, okay. So procurement does what?
Buying and selling.
That was a perfect layup for you, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
It's an entree.
Yes,
it really was.
Right. Yes, it was.
And see, that's the one thing that's good because it's like, did you go to school? Did you go to college?
I did go to college also.
Where'd you go to?
I went to Wayne County Community College before I went to the service.
And what did you study?
I got my degree in, I think it was called liberal arts.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I went, I got married, had children, got out, went back to school again, and got a bachelor's degree in marketing. Yeah.
So the marketing really is essential to do what you're doing when it comes to your entrepreneurial roots that you have.
That was so long ago, though, and when I got my degree in marketing, grassroots marketing was still the big thing. That was still the big thing. Relationship marketing was still the big thing. Now everything seems to be online. So I'm learning all over again.
Yeah, and that makes a big difference, to be adaptable,
Oh my goodness.
and to be malleable, to be able to go from one to another.
Right. But what I'm learning is that you never stop needing to be able to communicate with people. May I segue?
Go ahead.
So one of the things I wanted to say that I really appreciate learning from you. So in one of the luncheon groups, a gentleman came in and he was talking all gruff, and my brother here, he just listens so calmly.
Is this the patience that you say, or the discipline that Gerald has?
Yes, he listened so calmly. And when the brother finished barking, he said, okay, well, this is this, and that was the end of it. So that taught me that sometimes when people sound like they're being disagreeable, when they act like they don't like you and everything is wrong, all they want to do is be heard. Maybe just listen.
Right. And listening is so important in business. It really is, because you can learn from your customers. You can learn from other business owners. Listening is such a vital part of success. My grandfather used to say to me, he said, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use them in proportion. Okay? So you should listen as twice as much as you talk. And for a person like me, that means I need to do a lot of listening, because I run my mouth quite a bit. But the other thing I want to
I want to add to that, to your adage right there, because see, one of the things that my father used to tell me was that when you encounter someone or you encounter something, the first thing you do is you use these two to envision it, to see it. But then you should also hear, as you just said, so you got 2 ears, 2 eyes.
Right.
But the main thing that people don't do is they don't process it here before it comes out of there.
Right.
And that's the thing that I think what you were saying about Gerald was that Gerald was processing it before anything else came out of there towards that person.
And I think you have to reduce your emotion in that, you know, in that, because sometimes, like you said, you have no idea what somebody has gone through in a particular day, in a particular week, in their particular life, you know, and they are very emotional about their particular issue. And what we have to do is we have to listen, we have to take pause, and then we got to move on, you know, because ultimately we have to take care of the business, okay? But sometimes people have a real emotional attachment to something. And I'm telling you, what I'm speaking to you about is sales, really, is what it amounts to. We used to call it the psychology of the sale, okay? Because sometimes people just want to vent, you know? And once you let them vent, then we can get back to the business. You know, we can figure out how we can do some business, okay? But sometimes they want to vent, and that may be because of their experiences in their life. That may be because of what happened to them when they were on the way over here. You know, somebody may have cut them off, and they might be real angry, you know? There are any number of things that happen, but what we have to do is not lose sight of our goal. Our goal is, you know, as they say in the business, nothing happens until something is sold. Okay, you know, all is I'm telling you, nothing happens until something is sold. All this, you know, great flowery, puffery stuff, you know, I'm the president of this or vice president of that. Listen, none of this matters if you haven't sold something. The chairman of General Motors making $20 million a year, she can talk all that talk she wants. But if these guys in the dealerships are not selling these cars, guess what? You're on the unemployment list as well. You know?
And now, you know, and let me segue into this because I'm hoping that you can stay this last half an hour with us, Gerald, but just in case, if some reason you cannot, give your contact information so you can sell others to come to the Thursday Luncheon Group.
Sure. If you want to contact the Thursday Luncheon Group, then you can contact us at 313-757-2121. And I'll give it to you again. 313-757-2121. You can also go to thursdaybusinessluncheongroup.org. thursdaybusinessluncheongroup.org, and you can reach us online. So we really want to encourage you to be a part of what we are doing and to continue to uplift our city and our country and our state, and to be a part of this networking piece where we recirculate the dollar in our community as many times as possible.
And where is it located at?
Our meetings are held at the Thursday Luncheon Group Event Center, and that's 18930 Greenfield. 18930 Greenfield. That's just a block south of 7 Mile Road. And that's where we hold our meetings as well.
And what time?
We hold our meetings first Thursday of every month from noon until 1:30. We try to cut it off hard at 1:30 because people have things to do, and we're very timely. So if you've got some things that you need to do during the day, just block that time, and I promise you we'll get you out of there by 1:30.
And is there a cost to be a member or to join?
The luncheon is $10, and it's certainly worth every bit of that.
Yes,
the networking is free. I want you to know that. But the luncheon is $10, so you can come and have a great lunch and do some real networking and help build your business as well.
So when you see, just real quick, because I know we got probably about another minute left in the segment, but Gerald, when you look at the Dr. V's, the Andreas, and others that are coming in, what are your words of encouragement to anybody that wants to be an entrepreneur? What should they have in their heart and in their mind to come across to the people that they want to service?
Persistence makes a difference. Persistence makes a difference. You just have to be on your grind. You just really have to be on grind and be prepared to grind. It's not going to be easy. Listen, I'm a lifetime entrepreneur. I have never worked for anybody. I've never signed a paycheck that didn't have my comma signature on the other side, okay? And let me tell you something. It's a hustle. It's not easy, but you have to be persistent. You have to be dogged in your determination, and you have to live that life. You know, you have to really be on your grind. And that's what I tell people all the time. Don't think that this entrepreneur thing is going to be a pushover. You see me now, dressed kind of decent, but If you saw me some years ago, you say, well, is he or is he not? So, yeah, persistence makes a difference. You just have to be on your grind, and you have to be prepared to overcome all the obstacles. Who was it? Felipe told us years ago, he said, I'm stronger when I'm down. I turn the obstacles all around, okay? And that's what we have to do. That's what we have to do.
So the main thing is that you got to be persistent. You got to have that doggedness to get out there, and regardless of what happens, if at first you don't succeed, then you try again. And I know your background was in real estate. If I'm not
finance. I'm a chartered financial consultant. So what I do is I help people establish trust, and then I manage those trusts for people. So insurance, investments, that's basically my background. Been at that over 40 years now. So the way I describe it to people is that you have to be on your grind, and you have to stay on your grind. That's just what it's about. And after a while, the grind is not as challenging as it once was.
Well, you know, Andrea, because that's one thing that I know when I first started coming to the Thursday Luncheon Group, that I was seeing, like you, the patience. Mm-hmm. You know, I saw that in Gerald. Yeah. The other thing that I saw, too, was the welcome. Yeah. Because you can go to places, and like you said, you average about 30-plus people there. Mm-hmm. But you know everybody. Mm-hmm. They come, you greet them, and that's one of the things that I like going to the Thursday Luncheon Group, because you greet everybody at the door. You get an opportunity to go and you speak to everyone that's in that room as to what your business is or what you do, you know, in the community.
And they engage you.
And then they engage you, right. And then, you know, what Gerald does too is he encourages people to network. You know, granted, we break bread together, but at the same time too, as Gerald will say, you may not, the meeting may be over. You don't have to leave, because you can continue to network with each other. And like you said, you respect people's time.
Right.
Because at 1:30, you want to try and do a hard stop.
Right.
But sometimes, depending on who all is there, you may not be able to do that hard stop. But you still give people an opportunity to stay and continue to engage with each other.
You can leave at 1:30 if you got someplace else that you have to be. But if you don't, listen, I love it when people stay to 2:15, because that means you're engaging, you're networking, you're doing business with each other. I love it. But if you have to go, you might have to go, you know. So we've established that, and we come from a long line of people. Al Merritt was our founder. Ed Vaughn was our president for a decade. So we come from a long list of people who have done a lot of great things. Porterfield Wilson was one of our big members. Ray Jenkins, you know him as Reparations Ray. Ray was a great mentor. I know we're running out of time, but I'll tell you what, I'm gonna stay for just a hot second, because I do want to tell you a story about Ray Jenkins and Porterfield Wilson. They were very, very instrumental to all the young entrepreneurs when I came through there, and that was in the late 70s.
But you know, something you just did was that you do what I like to do on my show, is that you encourage people to stay a little longer than what they might have had intended to leave. Right. And so you do that as well, just like with Dr. V, just like with Andrea and others that have come. You know, like you say, okay, it might be 1:30,
right,
and you may be wrapping up, but you still see people still staying, and that's what you like to do. And that's what I love to do, you know, on my show, is that when that time comes for it, like, okay, let's say they got a half an hour, or as Ms. Willis will tell you, we've had a lot of politicians, elected officials that said, all right, Darwin, I can give you maybe like 10 minutes.
Right.
And at 10 minutes turns out to be 30 minutes.
Right.
And, you know, we're good at that. So you join that small percentage of people, Gerald, to say that they got 5 minutes, that it expands into 20 or 30 minutes, you know, like that part, you know, with that. But I think the main thing is that it's great to give people an opportunity to continue to network and do what they do. But one thing I want to ask you too, now, I'm seeing some of the other things. This is not something that we're going to, you know, outside of just to see. Now, this is your stain treater?
Right. I started develop. This is one of the. I have like a line of 10 products that I want to add, but this is one of the formulas I've been playing with. So years ago, there was a stain treater called PERT, and it got out set-in stains. It didn't stay on the market long because it didn't get traction fast enough, and that business closed, and their recipe isn't around anywhere. So I started playing with stain treaters, and this is kind of close to it, but not quite yet. But this is, I think I found the additive I need. We'll see soon. But this is one of the things I do still. It is very effective at getting out stains, the ones that are not protein-based or oil-based.
Now, how do you apply that?
So it's actually a spray bottle. You just, and this is like a purse-size spray, and it's a pre-treater. So if you get a stain at a restaurant, just spray it right there, and it's not going to set in. That's what this is for, to prevent stains from setting in.
Oh, okay. And then now this, because I see you've got, this is what your laundry care.
Right. It's cheat codes for your laundry. So a lot of clothes now have these codes in them. I don't know if you can see it. I don't think so. They have these codes in them instead of verbiage on how to care for your laundry. And so this is just a magnet I had made that you could put, anywhere you, on your washing machine, your refrigerator, wherever you sort your clothes, so you know how to better sort them. And this handkerchief, I got to go with the stain treater because I know each and every one of you have been in a restaurant, got a stain, or your child has got a stain, or someone has got a stain, and you took one of those napkins and tried to wipe it off, and then you got a paper burn. Yeah, we don't like those. So if you have a napkin with you, you can easily just wipe off the debris, spray the stain treater, and then rub it in until you don't see the stain anymore at all. But I would love to hear about Porterfield Wilson.
Yeah, because, that was the thing, because we were going to, but we don't want you to leave.
Okay.
So that's why instead of taking a break, we want to let you tell the story about Porterfield Wilson.
And the other person.
Ray Jenkins.
Ray Jenkins. Reparation Ray.
Ray Jenkins, I start tearing up when I think about the energy that he gave a young entrepreneur like me. I mean, you come into that place, just kind of like what we talked about earlier, and, maybe you don't have a whole lot of business, but Ray Jenkins, you know him as Reparations Ray. We knew Ray as Ray Jenkins, a real estate man. Ray was a real estate, owned a real estate agency, was a real estate broker for 40 years, 50 years. And I do want to share with you a story about how the Thursday Luncheon Group worked and how it works. We had another member, many of you in the audience, the viewing audience would know, General Laney. General Laney ran the gun range at 4752 Shane. Now, General been dead about 15 years. But you see, I ran that off 4752 Shane. That's because every week he came to the Thursday Lunch Group, he reminded us where his gun range was, 4752 Shane, okay? I know that there are people out there that knew where his gun range was. General had to relocate his station, his gun range, because the school board bought his gun range. They wanted that property. So he went out looking for another location. He found a location right here in Highland Park, actually, it was, over on Hamilton. It was for sale. Let me tell you what General Laney did. It was for sale. He saw it, he looked at it, and he thought that this would be a great location. General Laney didn't call the broker who had that listed. He called Ray Jenkins. Okay? Let me tell you why that's important. Because Ray Jenkins then called the broker, they cut the deal, and what happened? Ray gets paid out of that deal. You follow what I'm saying? It didn't cost General any additional money, but Ray gets paid out of that deal. That's what the Thursday Luncheon Group is about, okay? Right. Making sure somebody in our group can get paid. Somebody can circulate that dollar or recirculate that dollar in our community, okay? So that's the teamwork that I'm talking about. When you're thinking about somebody else, how you can help somebody else in this world, there's no way that you can fail, okay? So Ray and General did that deal, and Ray, I talked about his the energy. When you're a young entrepreneur, it can be kind of rough. I can't tell you the number of times Ray paid for my lunch, okay, and just gave me energy to continue to move forward, okay? And that's what you need to be about. And that's why people who are budding entrepreneurs, they want to be a part of the Thursday Luncheon Group, because you want to come I don't want to use the phrase, but where everybody knows your name, you want to come there and feel comfortable. As you talked about, greeting you at the door, calling you by your first name. When my members get sick, I take it upon myself to call them and follow up with them, because it's more than just about a business. It's a relationship, okay? We are developing a relationship, and so that's very important. Porterfield Wilson was another one. And listen, let me tell you something. They talk about these mega dealers now. I can't imagine anybody being more proactive in terms of sale than Porterfield Wilson. Porterfield Wilson was I guess he must have been a born salesman. The old-fashioned term would be you could sell ice to an Eskimo. I don't necessarily use that, but that's what they used to say. The reason I don't use it is because, we do, forgive me for getting into this, but we do needs-based selling, okay? And the truth of the matter is the Eskimo doesn't need ice, okay? Let's be honest. Let's be honest. He may need a coat, okay? He may need some socks or some gloves, and we can sell him that. And that's what Porterfield would help you to understand, okay? You do needs-based selling. If a person needs a Pontiac, you sell them a Pontiac. But if they're a Chevy kind of dude, you sell them a Chevy, okay? Get them into something that they can use and they can benefit from, okay? You don't want to oversell anybody. You don't want to put a Chevy guy into a Cadillac because that's not going to last very long, okay? And that's not what they need. So Porterfield helped us understand that, and at every stop along the way, he made sure folk understood what the Thursday Luncheon Group meant to him. He was one of our founding members back in 1959. So those were people who gave me a lot of energy, and that's kind of what I want to try and do, and what I'm getting other folks to do, to give to the people who are coming here, because it's not easy. Entrepreneurship is not easy. It's a challenge. It's rewarding, but it's not easy. And you need somebody who will inspire you. As I said, inspiration, information, and motivation. Sometimes you need inspiration, and that's a temporary uplift. You come in down, we're gonna make you feel okay. Okay, we're gonna feed you, we're gonna get you on the right track, we're gonna make you feel okay. Motivation is the longer term piece, okay? Because that's what you need to become successful, is the motivation. You need to be constantly motivated, and that's what we can provide you as well. So, and the information piece, Darwin, as I shared, is who's buying your product right now? We can provide you with that information. Where is this grant program coming from? We had just recently, well, it's been about 2 years now, one of our members took a job with the state of Michigan, was very well positioned and let us know about some grants that the state of Michigan was having. We held a workshop for the grant, for the people who were seeking the grants, and it had to be a nonprofit. We had 15 organizations come to that meeting. 5 of them got funded, okay? And that was so helpful, but this emanated from a person who was a member of the Thursday Luncheon Group, who had gone into a different position, but always had that mindset of helping somebody. And so that is so important in whatever you do, is having the mindset of helping somebody else, and it will feed itself back to you.
Well, that's the difference, especially when you talk about paying it forward. Mm-hmm. And that's the one thing, Andrea, if you would, concur with me, that's what I think people do at the Thursday Luncheon Group. They pay it forward.
So let me tell you about my very first experience with the Thursday Luncheon Group. There was a lady at our table, and I don't remember her name, but she's been there since then. I just don't remember her name. But she manufactures perfume and some kind of shea-based butter oil. Mm-hmm. She got invited to go to the United Nations.
Miss Jackie.
Yeah, she got invited to go to the United Nations on some kind of but her product was, her product was picked to be one of the products that could be sold around the world. And she was invited to go to the United Nations to do a pitch. And she says, well, it's already closed for this year, but if you're interested in going next year, I'll be happy to help you. Am I interested? Right. Are you kidding?
Right.
Did you have to ask?
Right. Miss Jackie is a wonderful person.
Yeah,
I'm
but
wearing
that
her
was
shea
my
butter
very first
today.
experience with the Thursday Luncheon Group. The caliber of people there is amazing to me.
But it's so interesting because this world is so small. And just like How I Met You.
Right.
Whereas Andrea and I were at a workshop that one of the guests I had on the show last week, Monica Morgan, did a What If.
Old Thursday Lunch Group member, Monica Morgan.
Oh, is she? Okay.
Absolutely.
Well,
Monica was just started taking
lady.
pictures when she was a Thursday Lunch Group member. Sure was.
Well, see, that was so interesting because she did a What If workshop over at WC3D on the east side, right there at Connor and 94. And Andrea was one of the people that was in the audience. And Monica called me out because she knows me. So I see Darwin back there in the back trying to, you know how we do. We go into some of these workshops and we sit in the back. We don't sit up in the front.
Right.
So it was so interesting because Andrea asked the question. And then she also mentioned about her Perfect Choice biodegradable laundry detergent sheets. And I'm like, wow, okay, so that caught my attention when you said that to Monica. So then here I look up all of a sudden and I come to the Thursday Luncheon Group meeting. Guess who's sitting at the table next to mine?
Right.
It's Andrea.
Right.
So I'm like, wow, this is a small world. And I said, aren't you the laundry detergent lady?
Right.
You know, so a lot of times that does happen, you know, like that. And then it was so interesting. I had this other lady to come on through the Rotary out in Dearborn. And she has the, I think I mentioned it to you. She's got the fragrance or the spices. And I'm trying to remember this lady's name, but at any rate, and you knew her. And because she has that, cha-cha.
Mrs. Pruitt's Gourmet.
Mrs. Pruitt, right. And
I
it's
bought that down at East Market. Yeah.
And it's so funny how we all have that ability. And just like it was, you know, I had her on the show with me, and I had a gentleman on the show that also made a barbecue sauce. And it was so funny.
Larry Crockett, Sweet Lorraine's?
I think that might have been. I'd have to look and find the bottle at home when I get home. But it was so funny because he said, you might go and take your barbecue rib and start eating it, and then you better be careful because you better have a first aid kit because you might bite into your finger at the same time because the sauce is so good.
Right.
And it made me think about that when Dr. V was fighting over these cookies and over the, you know, and I'm like, I might start to nibble and get into that last one, and all of a sudden I might bite the tip of my finger off because of that lemon zest that might get in there and stuff, you know, on my fingertip. But it's interesting how you have entrepreneurs that in a lot of cases they may see each other, but they don't know who they are. And that's one of the things that I like with your group is that people may say, I've seen him, I've seen her before, but don't know what they do.
Right. You're completing the circle is what we're trying to do. Completing the circle. And that is so important because we can help each other. We can help each other. And it may be something as simple as buying something from somebody on a particular day, you know? It may be something as simple as referring somebody. Hey, you know, I think somebody could use your product or maybe they can host your product in this store, that sort of thing. That's completing the circle. That's recirculating that dollar in our community. That is so important.
One of the things I love, out of all the people who've purchased my product, not one of them has asked for a discount. I've been in circles with entrepreneurs and they're like, well, that's your that's your retail price. How much can I get it for?
But you know
what it costs.
And that's so interesting because sometimes people take advantage of the cost because of like-minded or I want to say it in a real polite sort of way. Sometimes their skin tone may be similar to somebody else's skin tone, so they think automatically, oh, well, I should be able to get a discount on that because of the fact that we may be of the same, you know, melanin color, you know. But I think the thing is that it's good because everybody needs to make a living. And it's hard to really kind of make a living if you're going to constantly keep cutting the cost because you have a threshold of your profit margin. And if you keep cutting the cost, because just like you were mentioning about Porterfield Wilson, I had bought a Honda when Porterfield Wilson got into the Hondas, you know, when he ventured off from, you know, the Pontiac. And the salesman taught me what the code was. When you look at that number right there in the windshield, and you can see the actual cost of the vehicle located in those series of numbers. And that's what the salespeople have to do. They have to see these numbers so that they know this is what it's going to cost. The dealership, and you've got to look at your profit margin based on that. But I know that we didn't take a break to keep Gerald on the show with us for this last half an hour of the show. But I want to also, Andre, I want to give you a chance to give your contact information. So if somebody wanted to buy Perfect Choice biodegradable laundry sheets, how do they go about acquiring them? How do they go about getting in touch with you when it comes down to if they want you to come, and maybe do like a display, or you want to have somebody to come and maybe like to have a table so that you can kind of show your product? How do they get in contact with you?
So the easiest way to contact me would be by text, 248-266-0749, 248-266-0749. You can also reach out to me via my website, that's www.perfectchoicecleaningsolutions.com. Once again, www.perfectchoicecleaningsolutions.com. I am accessible on Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok, Perfect Choice Sheets, and on LinkedIn, Andrea Fields.
And I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Dr. V. So 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what is in the future for Andrea Fields?
Well, 5 years from now, we'll have a production facility in Michigan. It's not going to be in the Metro Detroit area, but it will be in Michigan. And then we'll have a learning center along with that, and we'll be teaching children how to work with their hands. So when I was growing up, I learned how to sew. My very, very first sewing lesson was at age 9. Our children need something to do with their hands. They need a way to make money when they don't have jobs. There has never been a time that I have been without a job but wasn't able to make money because I know how to sew. And so I really want to instill that in children. I want them to know how to do something with their hand. And I have 13 needle arts I can teach them. And I know a lot of ladies who can teach other things. So that's one of my goals, is to have a production facility in Michigan and to teach children how to work with their hands.
Wow. Okay, Gerald, 5-10 years from now, what is in the cards for Gerald Davis?
Well, let me speak about the Thursday Lunch Group. I am hopeful and prayerful that we will continue as we have since 1959. I am trying, as we speak, to work some younger people into the operation. I've been at it for a while, and for me, it has literally been a labor of love. Because normally, when I leave something, I don't usually come back. I like to move on to some other things, but this is, my heart. This is really my heart. My family understands it, So Thursday Lunch Group is a family member of mine. So I'm trying to work some younger people into it to kind of get them ready for 5 or 10 years down the road, because I shouldn't be running this 5 or 10 years down the road. We should have somebody else who's more progressive. I can still be around to advise and consult, but I should not be running this 5 or 10 years down the road. So hopefully we'll be there, and we can get some people who are focused in helping other folks, because that's key to me. Now, if I can't find anybody, I will be there, because I'd rather not turn it over to somebody who's not going to do it right, which is, again, focusing first on helping folks. So that's what we're hoping, is that we can get some younger folks in, and they will be able to utilize the wisdom that we have developed over the years to continue to network and circulate the dollar in our community.
Well, and that's the thing that's so good, because, Gerald, one of the things I want to compliment you on, too, is that just like how Andrea mentioned about the personable part that you have with all of the people that come to the Thursday Luncheon Group. And one of the things that I was impressed about was how when Miss Willis came to the Thursday Luncheon Group, and since she has been coming, you always ask her about her son. And that makes the difference right there with people when you talk about family.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're always, and I always hear you, and I know that she is, will probably tell you as well, how much she appreciates you and your personable side of always, regardless of what happens, regardless of the other 30 or whatever people it is there, you still take the time to find her and then to ask her, how's he doing?
And I thank you for that, and that's the important role that the next person's going to need to do.
Exactly.
We really need to find somebody who can take that on, because it can be very personable,
Mm-hmm.
And truth of the matter is, we all have issues and family issues and what have you, and it's hard to be successful in business when you're focusing on, those issues. But when you have somebody who calls you or checks on you on a regular basis, that makes all the difference in the world, So I do it, and I'm hopeful that the next president will be able to do that as well. We want to ingrain that because, these young people, I don't want to put it that way, but, we don't communicate like we used to,
Cross-generationally, no, we don't.
People text and, sometimes you just need to pick up the phone. How you doing? You really need to do that. How's your family doing? You just need to pick up that phone. So that, again, is where the wisdom can come in. They have other skill sets that I certainly don't have. And if we can utilize their skill sets and add to them some of the wisdom and some of the homey kind of things that we do, then they'll be successful in what they're doing, and all of our folks can be successful.
Well, I know in the few minutes we got left, Andrea, I'm gonna give you an opportunity to give some closing words, especially to some of the young people that may be thinking about doing something, thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, think about being the next Gerald Davis. What would you say to them?
I think the first thing I would say is don't ever give up. Don't back down. When you make a decision to do something, do it. Because every time you don't do something, you're lying to yourself. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to start telling yourself other lies like, oh, I probably couldn't do it anyway. Well, don't lie to yourself. You can accomplish anything you set your mind to accomplish. Trials and tribulations will come there to test your resolve. And you prove to yourself and the world that you are as powerful as you want to be by persevering through every obstacle that tries to come. I don't care if it's people. I don't care if it's family. I don't care if it's a job. I don't care what it is. Nothing has the ability to take you out unless you give up. So whatever it is you decide to do, stick with it no matter what, and you will succeed.
See, Gerald, I think at the next luncheon group, you might have a motivational speaker
That's right.
right here to come in and speak. But Ms. Fields, give your contact information again before we get ready to close out.
So the very best way to contact me is via text, 248-266-0749. You can also reach me. It's an information card on my website, www.perfectchoicecleaningsolutions.com. You can also order through that site. You can also reach me on social media, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, Perfect Choice Sheets, and then on LinkedIn is Andrea Fields.
And these do smell good.
They do.
They do.
And they have other uses too, right?
Yeah. Oh my goodness! I was doing a demonstration last week, and the lady said, "Did you know that you could tear it in half and put one half in each shoe?" And I'm like, "No." Her husband was like, "Yeah."
That's the same thing, because I didn't know that too until...
It takes the odors away. She needed that.
Because that's the same thing with the dryer sheets.
Mm-hmm.
That I didn't know that, I learned that a couple of years ago, that you could take the little dryer sheets, put them in your shoe, and you're good to go for, especially like sneakers that get a lot of, odors to them.
Right.
But you can put those even in your dress shoes and do the same thing.
I didn't know. I know now, but...
But it was, but you got to just remember you got them in there. Right. That's the main thing, because you don't want to take your shoe off and all of a sudden somebody sees a dryer sheet somewhere on the ground, and they kind of wondering what's going on and what is this.
Mm-hmm.
But
so one of the things I do want to stress is that if so I had to raise my children by myself, so I did a lot of laundry loads in my bathtub. One of the beautiful things about these, if you're a person who does not have a washer or dryer at home, use your bathtub one sheet, and you only have to rinse the clothes once for all of that soap to be out. And you're going to find that the very first load of clothes, it's going to be black. Just let it go. Just let that water drain, wring them out, and then do the wash cycle. And then rinse it once, and you're good to go. It doesn't take half a day to wash clothes if you're using liquid or powder that has those sediments in it when you're using this sheet.
And your sheets work well. Doesn't matter what temperature the water is.
It does not matter what temperature the laundry. You can even take these with you to the lake and just do your little hand washing right by the lake in the basin. Make sure you don't pour the wash water out in the lake water. Pour it out on the shore.
And what does it mean when you say biodegradable? I know I see that word a lot, but what does that mean?
So biodegradable means, it really literally means that it's going to break down over time. It's going to be one with the soil. It's going to return to the earth. So plastics aren't biodegradable. They're non-porous substances. They're man-made. So it doesn't matter if 2,000 years from now you're going to find it. It's going to be just like it was. I got a true story to tell you. So I'm helping my aunt clean out a closet, and she finds a Big Mac in a bag that was in one of her tote bags or something like that. And she opens it and she said, I can't believe it. So I'm going in to see what's going on. That Big Mac from a coat she hadn't worn in almost a decade was still perfectly intact.
Wow.
But
I
kid you not, it was perfectly intact. Same thing with some Cheetos she found. Perfectly intact. When she broke it, it still crunched. We gotta be careful about what we're putting in our systems, y'all.
Well, I guess that's the closing words that we just leave this show with right now. So you just heard this testimony from Andrea Fields of Perfect Choice biodegradable laundry sheets. And I am thankful, plumb pleased that you came on the show with us today to impart those closing words to our viewing and listening audience. My co-host extraordinaire for the day, Thursday Luncheon Group, guru, entrepreneur, established so many businesses throughout the metropolitan Detroit area. Mr. Gerald Davis, want to thank Dr. Valanda Anderson of Sweet Potato Delights with the education that we got about the difference between vegan, vegetarian, and what a yam and what a sweet potato is, the difference between them. But want to thank Dr. V for being on the show. Want to thank you, our viewing audience, for getting an opportunity to let us come into your living rooms as well. So again, thank you for watching. I'm your host, Darwin Griffin, and we'll be back with you next week. Same time, same station. But up until that time, have a great, safe, and peaceful rest of this day. Enjoy your weekend.